This episode of the Sunspots Comics podcast is brought to you by our brand new sponsor, Cryptid Zoo. Cryptid Zoo is a t-shirt line uniquely infused with augmented reality and inspired by cryptozoology figures like Bigfoot. It is designed by artist and owner Julian Meyer, and check out the amazing unique shirt designs at cryptidzoo.com. And don't forget to use the promo code SunspotsComics and you will get 25% off your shirts. Again, that's www.cryptidzoo.com.
If you're looking for a place where your love is shared the same, for the stories where the hero saves the girl somehow, well, look no further, friends, the adventure never ends. We will save the world somehow. It's Sunspots Comics now.
Hey there, hello, welcome. You are listening to the Sunspots Comics Podcast, issue number 82, where I cover New Comic Book Day, Wednesday, November 23rd, and it is a delicious lasagna-filled comic book good times right here. I'm your Zuppa Toscana host, Chris Latore. Thank you so much for joining in on the delicious nerdy fun that is the Sunspots Comics Podcast, where I give you a list of amazing comic books to buy and read every single week. I'm not going to tell you about the goods. I'm going to only tell you about the greats that you need to go out there and buy. Please subscribe to our podcast. All you got to do is click that red button. It's all over the place, right? Or follow us at Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Xbox Live, at Sunspots Comics. And please check out our YouTube page, youtube.com/Topheelat, Topheelat. It's just a little baby of a YouTube page, but more stuff is coming very soon. Thank you so much to our friend Nick Papa George for making our theme song. We so appreciate it. Thank you so much, Nick. Please follow him on facebook.com/NicholasDellMusic. He's got a new single called The Power Within You and a brand new album from his band Solution. Just check it out. Go to iTunes and just search Nicholas Dell or Solution. It's good reggae, pop, rock stuff. I love it. Thank you to my son Justin Jables Latore for his work on the Sunspots Comics blog. And just check it out at blog.sunspotscomics.com. Follow him on Instagram at JustSunspots, and his latest blog is on his review of the Doctor Strange movie, so check it out. It is good stuff. So let's get into the Sunspots Comics Podcast, issue number 82, with some stuff, some things floating around up inside my nerd lobes. The first thing that I'm excited about is Black Friday. I've heard through the grapevine, through social media somewhere, that Skybound, Kirkman's Walking Dead store, was having a seriously good sale. Probably got it through the emails or something. And he had a ton of shirts, not he, but his organization, of $5 shirts from Walking Dead and Invincible and just a ton of other stuff. I was surprised at the selection that you get for $5, and they actually had my size, which was very, very cool. So I bought like 5 of them at $5 each. So I know that the sale is extending, so you should check it out. I think it's skybound.com. Maybe they still have some at that price, but I was really surprised. Great selection of Walking Dead stuff. I can't wait to get those. Also, really the only other thing that I bought for Black Friday, but I'm pretty jazzed about it, is the Batman and Robin 1966 Season 1. Got it at Best Buy for $9, and I haven't actually revisited it since I was a kid, and it's hilarious, campy fun. I mean, it really delivers. And I was surprised at how beautiful it looks remastered, because in my mind, I just remember watching it on our crusty little 13-inch TV, having to whack it upside its head to get any sort of clarity. And also, they didn't run reruns like they used to then, so there's even some episodes there that I missed. So it's like refreshing and neat to watch it so deliciously remastered, and I'm having just some campy fun with that. And next thing on my nerd brain is, if you like the comic book from Image called Descender, written by Jeff Lemire and art by Dustin Nguyen, check this out. Dustin has actually partnered with the t-shirt company Threadless and has released some very cool Descender t-shirts. I mean, you have Bandit, and you have T21, and like the Moon, and like this No Robot shirt. Just good stuff, and they're like $20, very decently priced. Threadless has a high level of quality. I bought a few shirts from them, and they've lasted years. and I like it. They're not a sponsor. I'm not partnering with them, but it's just good stuff. I'm going to buy one today, but check it out at DUSS005.threadless.com. I'm looking at it right now, and I'm going to be buying a couple of those. Not bad for $20 too, but if you love Descender, grab this. That's right, it is just beautiful stuff. It's directly his work, and it's right on the shirts, and it looks gorgeous, beautiful. Dustin Nguyen's art is out of this world, so very rare that you see artists sort of team up with a high-quality t-shirt company like Threadless, so I'm excited. I'm going to buy one, so I recommend that. And the last thing on my Nerd Lobes is I'm actually writing a comic book called Zombie Destroyers. Yes, I'm writing it, coloring, lettering it, and my friend Jordan Hudson, thank you Jordan, is doing his beautiful art for it. Please check out his Instagram at Jordan_Hudson_art. His art's friggin' beautiful. Thank you so much, Jordan. And I also have the website zombiedestroyers.com. We've posted 4-ish pages. No words, just a little samples of Zombie Destroyers. So please, we're very proud of it. Check out our comic book, Zombie Destroyers, on zombiedestroyers.com. Hopefully maybe coming out in early 2017. So I'm so excited. I'm just, every day it humbles me that I'm actually working on a comic book. I'm kind of sort of in the biz and trying to put something out there that I love. It's a passion project. So Zombie Destroyers coming soon to you. Where we are, just a quick Zombie Destroyers update. Jordan's still doing the final inks on page 16. I'm already writing 18 and beyond. The comic itself is going to be somewhere between 26 and 29 pages. I know I flip around with that because when we start adding some splash pages to really kind of add some zing, it extends it a little bit, but I want that first issue to have some bonus pages and be a little longer than your, say, average 22-page comic. So that's kind of where we are. That's a quick little Zombie Destroyers update. Please check out zombiedestroyers.com from time to time. And also, I want to just give a quick mention to a segment on our show called Spotlighting. And Spotlighting is very cool. I myself am a struggling comic book creator. And if you know someone that's an independent comic book creator, we want to shine some Sunspots Comics love and support to those struggling creators. And we want to do what we can to help them out and get their work out there and let people see it and find links to their work and to look at it. So if you yourself or someone you know is an artist, a writer, a colorist, a letterer, it doesn't matter. Just send me a link to your work. Email me, chris@sunspotscomics.com, or message me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter @sunspotscomics. And I'm an independent comic book creator with my Zombie Destroyers, and I know how tough it can be to get your work out there, so we want to do our part to help. So send us your information. And this week also, I'm going to jump right into my favorite part of the comic book Sunspots Comics podcast, which is my comic book reviews and recommendations, where I pick my favorite comic books for New Comic Book Day, November 23rd. And let me tell you, it was a doozy. And by the way, spoiler-ish alert. But really don't worry, I don't give you everything. I leave the last couple of pages alone. I really just want to inspire folks and to find some great, diverse blend of comic books that are out there, and hopefully inspire you to go to a comic book shop and buy these yourself. So I'm definitely only covering the greats here. There was a ton of goods, but I only recommend the greats. But spoiler-ish alert, just in case, but you really don't have anything to worry about there. And if you'd like to see the giant list, everything that I've read, all my favorite picks of the week, going back to May of 2015, just go to sunspotscomics.com. Just click on the pull list. You'll see my 127 titles that I'm reading. That's right, 127 that I'm reading. Thank goodness they don't all come out weekly or monthly. Also, just click on top comic books of the week to see all of the past top picks, to see those number ones especially. But I usually read somewhere between 17 and 27 comics, and I usually pick somewhere between 5 to 10 that are the great ones that I recommend you buying. So just go to sunspotscomics.com, check it out. I've streamlined the site, I've simplified it, I've compacted it, I'm very proud of it. So please check out sunspotscomics.com. And every single week, I like to pick an art winner and an art cover winner. This week, the art winner, hands down, was the artist Jeff, just J-E-F, for Triggerman #2, which I'll get into later. But Jeff is kind of an elusive character. I could not find much online. After 5 to 7.5 minutes, I just sort of gave up. He has that just only name, just Jeff, J-E-F. And I found some sort of trails that thought I was leading to this guy, but really nothing. I even went to all the social medias. I couldn't really find very much. So if you know something about Jeff, send me some information about him at Sunspots Comics, or email me, Chris@sunspotscomics.com. But his art is gorgeous. It's definitely a throwback to the 30s, that Al Capone days of Prohibition. And I tell you, the coloring is so spot on. It really just kind of takes you back in time to the 30s. Really sets a great tone. And there are times where there is no dialogue whatsoever. And they just let the panels breathe with this just absolute time travel feel you have going on here. They go into old Los Angeles, and I just love looking at it. I know they have some digital inspired sort of backgrounds, but they color it and add some shading and light to it that gives it its own sort of unique feel. Has a very sort of brown and strange mixtures of weird sort of paisley colors. But it's so very flashback, and it's so very just captures that essence of its time in the 30s. So it's just beautiful, and the emotional looks on all the faces are drawn so well. Even hands, feet, etc. Such great detail to physics and such respect to light. I have to give hats off here for artist Jeff on Triggerman, which we'll get into here soon. And the art cover winner is Empress number 7, Stuart Eminem. Stuart's work is so beautiful and so iconic, and the cover of Empress number 7 has like these gorgeous 3 suns and this sort of silhouetting of our main character, the woman that's looking sort of right towards you, and yet it's blend with the main clash of our main bad guy and main good guy, with spaceships sort of flying out of behind these 2 suns, and they're silhouetted that way. It's just very kind of like a beautiful, iconic 70s Star Wars poster is what it reminds me of, and it's just gorgeous. And even the little attention to detail, whereas the word Empress has like this sort of crest behind it, it gives definitely some authenticity there of this family crest, because that's at the core what this comic is about, and is family and issues with family. And it seems to have that right behind the word Empress on the comic, which just gives it that extra little piece of finesse, that little extra touch to make it just beautiful. And it's just iconic, and with space in the background, it just gives you that kind of Star Wars awesome sci-fi feel. So Stuart Eminem, knocking it out of the park here with your beautiful cover. You are most definitely the winner this week. And thank you so much for your beautiful art. And the breakdown. So here we go. This week, I actually bought 24 comics. It was a big week. And 10 of them made it to the favorite pick list. And that's below that 50%, which I like to be at definitely above 50%. So yeah, that's it's preferred to be that way, so that I really feel like my money is I'm getting every single cent's worth of my money. But this week it didn't happen. Only 10 made the great list. And this week also new number 1s. There were 2. We had Venom and Superpowers, and only one of them made it to the top picks of the week, which is pretty darn good. So here we go. Let's break it down. Let's get into my favorite comic book picks of the week for New Comic Book Day, Wednesday, November 23rd. My favorite day of the week. It always is. Has been since 1941. But here we go. Coming in at number 10 is from Dark Horse Comics, Harrow County. And this is from Colin Bunn on script. And this is a guest artist. It's not Tyler Crook this week, which already I go, uh-oh. But it's Carla Speed McNeil, and she does a pretty solid job, I gotta say. She hangs in there with the tone. It doesn't have that painted, that watercoloring look that Tyler Crook has, but she hangs in there. But there's some really heavy meat of the story here that's happening. That's why it was definitely one of the great picks. But this family that's following Emmy around, this witch coven family that arrives in this strange colonial home that just sort of arrives in various places throughout time and throughout the world, in this strange house that just appears and bounces like it's alive. This is the breakdown of that family and why they actually had Miss Hester hung at the tree, and from that tree is where our main character Emmy was born. And of course this centers around Emmy in a way, but this really spends some time sort of how the family coven of witches, sort of how their group split, and how their group was not so perfect and had some issues, and they all kind of went their own kind of direction. And the evolution of one main character named, I want to say his name is like Malachi. Yes, I was right. Wow. And I pulled it out of my brain before I actually read it on the page right now. And Malachi is the centerpiece of this witch coven, and he is a creator of beings by creating this strange mud-like mold and then brings life to them. So he's almost like evil god-like in a way, but he's sort of twisted in that he wants to create good but never does. These beings that he creates from mud mold just end up wreaking havoc and becoming also other members in this witch coven. But his intentions are sort of there, and it's that conflict that really makes this comic book interesting, because he creates Hester, this evil witch that ultimately is the creator of all these horrible things and monsters in Harrow County. As the primary piece of this story, it's like you never really see Hester's face as well. Even the way that the Carla does the art here, you just never really get a completely good look at Hester's face, so it's always a little frightening to see her in any panels. But there's dealings with her here, with Malachi and Hester, and her sort of origin, as to we realize now she's made with clay. And then there is this demon beast. You go back to sort of current day, because there's a lot of flashbacking of the Witch Coven, to where Emmy is speaking to this giant sort of bull-like demon, and you don't really know if this demon is good or bad, and you get the origin story here, and I'm not going to tell you every detail because it's very interesting, it's very well done, and I like that this adds a ton of depth so that when we move forward in the story of Harrow County, it'll be that much richer and detailed. So I'm all in. Harrow County has been a solid, consistent comic that is unique and twisted and on the side of horror, but some great, unique storytelling, and there's hope there, because you're actually behind Emmy and you want her to make Harrow County safe and peaceful for the people that live there. So it has hope there, and yet it's a horror-based comic. Fantastic. Could not recommend that anymore. And coming in at number 9 is the only number 1 that made it in this week. And this was definitely a surprise hit for me. I must have just been kind of fiending for a more of a cartoony style, happy-go-lucky DC comic, and that's what I got here with the number 9 this week, is Superpowers, number 1. And I tell you, this, by the way, is art by Art Baltazar, and I think he also writes it. I think he's one in the same. The writer is Franco. That's just the first name. And it is a cartoon strip style of your the Mighty Trinity. Primarily is the centerpiece of this particular comic: Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. And this is just a comic book style, comic strip style, just very colorful, cartoony-like feel to it. It's way all ages, and a ton of all ages never really makes it into my brain or into where I need to spend money on it. But this just jumped out for some reason because of the beautiful, beautiful cover. And I tell you, a special mention to the art here. This was the only comic that I actually snapped pictures of to set as my background on my iPhone. So that tells you something. It's just beautifully colored, it's bright, it's cartoony, it's happy, and you start right off with this sequence of Gordon summoning Batman through the bat signal, and Superman arrives. And he's like, where's the Batman? There's a ton of kid comedy in this. Brainiac is involved. They have Batman. Brainiac has him in his evil lair, and there's kryptonite everywhere, and Superman has to find a way in. And even he goes throughout Gotham and fights the rogue gallery of villains, of Batmans. So he's fighting Mr. Freeze. Superman's fighting Mr. Freeze. He's fighting like a Yeti. I don't know exactly who that is there. He's fighting the Penguin, the Riddler. So it's Superman facing them, but the way that they're drawn is just so fun and campy and cute, and I just super enjoyed it. It just made me happy, and it made my eyeballs super happy. So put your eyes on this, Superpowers. It's just fun. It's wacky. It's for kids. If you want to get something for your kid this week, get this. And or not, if you're just a kid at heart like me, grab Superpowers, number 1. I'm gonna continue on. I mean, it even has their sort of current outfits now, except for Wonder Woman. She has the pants, but they even kind of go into a weird sort of origin of Wonder Woman, which is interesting, like her with her mother. And so it's actually packed with a lot of surprising little things here, like even the Kandor is addressed, that New Krypton is there, and they've enlarged the small city, and now it's a planet that's hovering around this sun. and you have Superman's parents that are alive on Kandor. So you can't go with continuity. You have to throw that out the window. But it's just a fun, cartoony, good time. Check out Superpowers. You will not be disappointed. And coming in at number 8 is Star Wars, issue number 25 from Marvel Comics. And this is written by Jason Aaron and artist Jorge Molina. And this has been rather interesting because of this Scar Squad. And this is the elite, sort of strange band of awesome stormtroopers that hit stuff when they shoot. They have a stormtrooper with a lightsaber, and their suits all look completely different, so it's easy to tell them apart. And they have rocket jetpacks and a lot of arsenal and weaponry and knives even attached to them. They just this awesome detail. I'm going to see cosplay of this. You know, we will see a continual every single year. I just feel it's going to grow in popularity with cosplay of the Scar unit. And it's really they're kind of the focus here. But this is set to where after episode 4 took place, so we know maybe they aren't going to make it, but hopefully they're going to hang in there and become canon and weave their way into the Star Wars canon. I hope so, because this is ending sort of an arc of where the Rebels have stolen one of the actual Star Destroyers of the Empire, and they've barely been able to keep it afloat. And with the ragtag group of rebels that are controlling it. And now Darth Vader and a giant armada of the Empire has finally found it. They were actually on their way to this planet called Terene 7, where they were trying to sort of stop the Empire embargo. And it's led by this bloodthirsty Sergeant Creel. And it's a small little story of this embargo hitting this planet and them trying to crash land. Basically, with their stolen Star Destroyer, they're crash landed into the center of the Empire and change the situation for this planet, this Terene 7, so that the people there will be free of the tyranny of the Empire. And so Scar Squad is there on the actual Star Destroyer, and you've got Luke in a lightsaber battle with one of the Scar unit stormtroopers, and Darth Vader tells him not to kill him, and he's like, no, I'm not killing him, I'm educating him. And they're fighting in this lightsaber battle, and you don't know, because Luke's sort of force powers are not really that developed here. You got to remember this is right after episode 4, but it's just action-packed and fun. Definitely the action-packed winner of the week. And Darth Vader is in his unique TIE fighter. He's fighting all the rebels that are around this Star Destroyer, trying to get into it. And you have Chewbacca fighting one of the Scar stormtroopers that is this awesome, huge behemoth of a stormtrooper, and he says, I'm excited we're going to have Wookiee for dinner as he's fighting him. You definitely get the badassery sense happening here with this Scar unit. And I don't want to tell you what happens. It's a great little ending. It ends the arc, definitely. Where it's going to go from here is kind of up in the air. And the Scar unit doesn't fare completely well. But some things happen here, some exciting stuff. And actually at its heart is kind of that little birth of the romance of Han and Leia. They definitely show that here, because you remember in episode 5 is where that the love really blossoms. But there's hints of that here, and it's definitely enough to keep it interesting and to kind of as an homage to the old Star Wars. And they just have been hitting this out of the park. Star Wars 25. I can't believe it's already here because it's gone by so fast. I'm sure it's collected in multiple ways, but get Star Wars, just the primary title. If you're thinking in your mind, wow, there's so many Star Wars things, I don't know where to start. There's, Han Solo has his thing, and Darth Vader had 25-ish. Just start with this and try to get all 25 issues. I'm sure they're going to collect them in 2 or 3 trades. Maybe more, maybe 4 or 5 trades. But get Star Wars. It is fantastic. Great buy. Good stuff. So coming in at number 7, coming in here is Frostbite. Frostbite is from from Vertigo Comics, I'm sorry. This is art by one of my favorites, and it's written by Joshua Williamson, who's doing The Flash, and he did Birthright, and art by Jason Sean Alexander, who he was nice enough, I say it all the time, to do this beautiful sketch, and he's a mural painter. This guy uses sort of strange techniques in his painting, and he has an actual colorist here, and you can tell that it's a little different looking for him, but still very well done in actually that watercolor style that I usually like in Harrow County. But Frostbite is an awesome sort of story. It's definitely like this Mad Max post-apocalyptic feel in an ice age where the earth is taken over by frozen tundra, and there is also normal frostbite is now sort of a virus that will actually destroy you rather quickly, and so it's like it's evolved. Freezing weather has evolved into this virus that will freeze you to death even quicker, so it's pretty crazy. But this is the introduction to sort of the main bad guy, the level 10 big boss, if you will, and he has to stay alive by staying in like a super duper hot sauna. And that's an interesting take there. Like, so does that mean that he's never going to leave this sauna to kind of be the bad guy in front of our good folks? But here he's just laying out, doing his bad guy thing where he has to take one of his minions that failed, one of his doings, and dispatch him. And it's done in a pretty cold-blooded way. Yeah, so that's you're right off the bat, you're given the tone here of the primary bad guy is not to be messed with and is evil. And he's in this crazy sauna, and we go back to our main character, who is this young woman that is kind of a little conflicted. She is sort of a bounty hunter, but she's kind of trying to do the right thing with Vic here, that is a daughter of this scientist, and she believes that Vic holds the key to understanding the way to stop the frostbite virus. So there's some hope here. There is two people here that they're the driver and our main character, this woman that is trying to get Vic to safety, get her somewhere. We kind of don't know where she's trying to get her, but she's trying to keep her away from everything that is bad in this world. And you're introduced into some interesting characters here, these snow queens that sort of treat the snow as a god that they pray to. Pretty crazy, and they have their own sort of unique, twisted way. And they're on the trail of our heroes that are trying to just get to safety. And then you also have the firemen. And yeah, it's just these crazy hellbent villains on setting things on fire in this world of cold. And it's their sort of religion. So it's twisted and has that, like I said, that Mad Max feel to it. And his art, I tell you, is just gorgeous. Jason Sean Alexander's art here is dark. It's gritty. The way they draw the snow is just, it's overwhelming and it's insane. It doesn't look pretty and happy. The snow here looks frightening. And it's a great paced comic here because ultimately it's a chase. You have the good guys trying to get away from the crazy snow queens and the firemen that are trying to just destroy everything with fire. So it's action-packed. She's got a sniper weapon on top of this awesome sort of tumbler, for lack of a better word. It definitely looks like Batman's tumbler that they're driving across this frozen tundra. And it very cinematic feel to it. It has this definite feel like this could be a great movie, TV show, etc. And I love the queens of the snow and these like sort of spears that they have with what looks like shards of snow, of ice on the end of these spears, and it just looks blue and it's very cool looking. So a lot of great visual art here, tons of action in this particular issue. Great sort of jumping on point, actually. I know it's Frostbite number 3, but it kind of gives you a recap of the story, and you jump right in to them running, and again, awesome action with these Batman tumblers across the snow. I mean, you don't need any more than that. So here we go. Now coming in at number 6 is The Goddamned, number 5. And it's been a while since we've seen issue number 4. It has to have been at least 3 months. So this is the end of the arc. This is written by Jason Aaron. Gorgeous art by R.M. Guerra. And this is, man, I can't talk about the last couple of pages here because it really had a jaw-dropping surprise in this end of arc. And I can't wait to see where it continues to go. But this has our Kane, our main character Kane, who is walking the earth and kind of wishing for death, has reluctantly decided to help this young woman find her son. And he even wants to help this other young boy that he came across. And he really kind of just wants to die in a way, but sort of wants to help this young woman find her son that's been taken into the camp of Noah. And Noah's camp is one of the most disgusting things you'll ever see in a comic book. I mean, this comic stinks. I've said it before. There's so much gore and so much level 10 violence here, and body parts flying and arms being taken off, and Kane is fighting with this sort of bone boomerang is the best way to describe it, that he's using as kind of an axe / sword, and it's just hacking and tearing and ripping and cracking, and it's gross, it's gory. If that's what you want in a comic, this is a buffet of it. A buffet of gore, I tell you. But it's still, there's that little bit of hope there that Cain is this reluctant hero and the young boy is still alive, and yet there is this showdown here between Cain and Noah. And Noah's got to be 1.5 feet taller than him, and he brings out this Nephilim giant, and man, it's like this deformed 13, 14 foot tall giant with strange like bone contusions sticking out of him, and one eye is larger than the other. He kind of reminds me of the guy from Goonies in a way. And he's frightening to look at, and that's all I want to give you, because there is some major boss showdown and a serious, unexpected, crazy twist at the end of the goddamn. So this has been a great series. I feel like this is going to win some Eisners. It's some unique storytelling with that mix of religion in here as well. There's constantly sort of a respect to scripture, which is kind of strange in a comic book. There's even some scripture at the beginning of this comic. Genesis is actually quoted here. But it is in this twisted world of where, but very sort of possible world that early on, before the flood in the Bible, if you are into that, and yet it's this very over-the-top, gory look at how things were, and before, say, God decided to lay down his wrath and flood and the deluge that came after people on Earth were just nasty. But The Goddamned, it's so good. It's so goddamned good. Please get it. It's just now it's nice that all 5 are here, because these 5 issues probably took like 2 years to come out with these 5 issues, I think. But anyway, so coming in at number 5 is from Hard Case Crime Comics, Triggerman, issue number 2, and this is written by Walter Hill, and this is adapted by Matz, and this is art by Jeff. This is the art winner of the week by Just Jeff, J-E-F. Gorgeous, fantastic, beautiful, realistic, gritty 30s look. It really takes you back in time, and this is the story of Mr. Nash, quote, the Triggerman, who is he's a hitman for hire, and he's got a Tommy gun, and that's where it focuses around. But he's also trying to find this lovely woman that cast a spell upon him, and he has to find her. And he was released from prison at the start of this, and he was given a chance, taken out of prison from some people that are involved with Al Capone. So it's that Prohibition era, and where alcohol is banned, and he's has the favor of Mr. Al Capone, and it references the Chicago mob. And I love that the world they're setting here. It's this character too, our main character Nash, Triggerman, looks to me like a very young Ray Liotta. So it even has that Goodfellas, I don't know, that vibe, that gangster feel. And I haven't had that in a comic book in like a long time, where I've been interested in reading this sort of genre of comic. And I have been enjoying it. They do a great job of giving you the story so far. To recap issue number 1, go get issue number 1. It was a previous pick of the week and previous art winner of the week when it first came out. It's not really on time, but issue number 2 just came out, and you can get it everywhere. Local comic book shops, it might be a little tough to find, because like I said, it's an indie title, The Hard Case Crime. It's with Titan Comics, so it's a little tricky to get out there, but find it. It is worth it. And so this picks up after the first issue, which he went to someplace in, I want to say it was Phoenix, on the trail of 2 guys, because Al Capone has one of his 2 guys that have sort of disobeyed him and disrespected him from this job that Al Capone gave them to rob this $500,000, which, the 30s is $4 billion. And they took the money and took off, and he actually doesn't care so much about the money, but he wants these 2 guys killed immediately. Killed. And so that's where Triggerman comes in. So he's hot on the trail here, and they showed old downtown Los Angeles. There's definitely some digital reference here as I was looking up some pictures of old downtown LA. But man, it's just gorgeously done. Some of it's hand-drawn, you can tell, mixed in with digital, rendering. But they do such a beautiful job to really take you back in time to the 30s. And so Triggerman initially has this woman that he met that's sort of trailing along with him, and he quickly kind of gets rid of her. And it's an interesting way that he even does that, in that you thought he would kind of take this beautiful woman along with him, but he's all business. He says, no, look, here's some money to get you by. Here's a place I set you up with a job and a place to live. You can either be a waitress or take care of fellas upstairs. So he knows that she's kind of a working girl. But I like that tone they're setting for Triggerman. He's just all business, and he's not going to be swayed by anything except for this woman that he's chasing, which is in his pocket watch, and she looks like kind of maybe a black woman that in this day and age, or this particular era here in the 30s, I know it's going to have some problems there with him trying to find this woman, and it absolutely does. It pays off. He's looking for her in some of these old some of these jazz juke joints, and they run into some problems there. Whitey's not allowed in there, and they go after him. There's definitely some vocabulary in the vernacular of its time in the 30s, so definitely inappropriate, and a little gasping, but it's appropriate for its time to really give you that authenticity of this genre. And I love his manservant, his butler, his sort of guy that Al Capone's assigned to him. It's this ex-boxer that he has like these scars right down the center of his eyes, and he is like this bald-headed guy in these awesome suits, and he doesn't say a word. And it's just he's a frightening sort of drawn character, beautifully drawn and interesting because he really doesn't say anything, but he follows orders. And I love the work in the hotels here, in these Los Angeles hotels. It's just, like I said, it's just beautiful. And as Triggerman checks into this gorgeous Los Angeles hotel in the 30s, he's trailed by the hotel detective. Like, was that a thing? I have to look that up. And this hotel detective just sort of knows by looking at Triggerman that he's involved with something. He could be an organized crime individual, and he's up there looking for a payout. And that doesn't end so well for the hotel detective. But I'm not going to tell you what happens there. But it's just him hot on the trail, and it's not giving you up everything. It's nicely paced, and he has to find this woman that is in his pocket watch, that he even sees her, and he constantly looks at this pocket watch in prison. He sleeps with it on his chest, so it's definitely this woman has his heart. And how? Because he seems like a pretty heartless person. But they even have this zero dialogue sort of panel moment with some beautiful backgrounds of them going on to what looks like the Titanic, and they're taking a skimmer boat out to it, and it's just beautiful. The respect to light here and the orange sunset, beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Easily art pick winner of the week. It was just gorgeous, beautiful art by Jeff. So thank you for that, Jeff. But Triggerman, please check it out. It's gorgeous. I don't want to tell you what happens towards the end. It's definitely a cliffhanger ending, and you have to look at it. But check out Triggerman. It's only on issue number 2. So coming in at number 4 is Cave Carson, issue number 2. And Cave Carson has a cybernetic eye, written by Gerard Way and John Rivera, art by Michael Evon Oming. And this has that kind of Chew-like art feel to it, and that it's very twisted and unique. And I love this sort of indie feel of this comic, because Cave Carson here now, you kind of get his origin. How did he get that cybernetic eye? It's basically explained here, and I don't want to tell you why, but it's these beautiful cave panels in purple. And what happens to his eye here in this hyper, super zoomed in, focused moment is grotesque, but awesome at the same time. You have to see it. But their use of like light sort of splashing in these crazy lines, and where things are hyper zoomed in and the background is hyper clear as well, is a very unique sort of art style. Very clean lines and kind of a cartoony look, but absolutely gorgeous. And I love this exchange with the daughter, where her current boyfriend is someone she's just kind of not into, and the boyfriend's just not getting it. And it's just intelligently written here, and you have to see this little sequence of the daughter dealing with this boyfriend that she's kind of like, I gotta dump this guy, but kind of can't because he's sweet and kind of dumb at the same time. But it's just great, just hilarious. And then you go into Cave Carson, who is the member of this organization called EBX, and he's figured out here that EBX is trying to kidnap his daughter and basically kill him For what reason, he doesn't quite know, but in the end of issue number 1, there was this sort of monster that came at him in his EBX cave where he works. So he has this very kind of awkward conversation with his boss, into where he wants to, tell him he quits, but he can't just do that because they have an ulterior motive which he doesn't quite understand yet. So the story isn't, they're just keeping it sort of a mystery at this point, but they're coming after the daughter, they're coming after Cave Carson, and I love that the pen that was referenced in the first issue, where it was the older style pen with the an image of someone, and as you turn the pen upside down, it sort of takes their blouse off, bikini off, or pants off. It was a real pen. I wish I just remember them everywhere, in truck stops and in Vegas and all over the place. I spent a lot of time in Vegas, but he uses that as a bomb here, and how he does it is very cool. I don't want to give you every detail, but just unique how they sort of reference that little pen is actually a bomb. And it was a gift from his wife who had just passed. So it has a little sentimental thing there, and yet it saves his life. And then you're introduced to his sort of sidekick, I think. I think I want to call him Wild Dog. Is that what I'm thinking he is? But anyway, he wears a hockey mask, and he has like kind of a hockey jersey on, and he's fighting these bad guys, and Cave Carson needs him. He takes this sort of aquatic, looks a cut between a submarine and an awesome old style 30s roadster, and Cave Carson steals that from the EBX lab, and he's on the run, but they're chasing him. And it's strange how these EBX soldiers have like these sort of glow in the dark pink shirts. So that's definitely a unique look, kind of twisted. And then they wear sort of like just these hoods on their face, like these hoods by themselves. And so an interesting kind of visual. And as the daughter's trying to get away, he's trying to get away from these EBX people. And Wild Dog has just dispatched these crazy villains for what you're not exactly sure. But there's a beautiful sequence in here about where the staples are, about midway, in that there is this EBX agent's car is flipped over, and it shows like this X-ray transparent view of the car being flipped over, and the X-ray view shows all of the EBX agents and how they're all kind of dead and twisted and bloody inside. But it's so uniquely done, like nothing you've seen, where there's an X-ray through this broken car that's flipped over, and the pool of blood at the bottom of the car shows this awesome like upside down skull face. Like, you have to see it. It's such a cool looking page. It was enough to just buy it just for that alone. But Cave Carson is weird, it's fun, it's definitely has that independent, unique, twisted feel here. You don't quite know what's happening with the story yet, or why he's running from EBX and why they're going after his daughter as well. But the art style here is gorgeous. I'm completely in because of its unique style. So many purples, and that zoom in sequence, like I said, of how Cave Carson gets his eye, you have to see it. And of course the X-ray version of the car. Those two alone are worth buying it because it's just something I haven't seen. It's very fresh, very interesting looking. So there you go. That's Cave Carson. But now we're breaking the top 3. So here we go. The top 3 picks of the week. So here we go. Coming in at number 3 is Empress, issue number 7 of 7. So this is the end of the arc. Looks like it's going to keep going. I think that Mark Millar maybe did not want it to keep going at first, but you can kind of tell he reeled that in from its popularity. This is written by Mark Millar and art by Stuart Immonen. This is the cover art winner of the week. Beautiful by Stuart Immonen, like I said before. This dual suns and the silhouette of our main character woman's face, and the showdown between our main bad guy and Dane. The sort of, he has this all white, he's like the head of the guard that is the protector of the queen. And this ultimately is a story of sort of a dysfunctional family. This queen wants to leave the emperor, who is this evil man, this tyrant, this dictator, this murderer. And this is Earth, like millions and bazillions of years ago. So interesting that that's the stage they set, and the premise that this happened a long time ago, yet they have like cell phones and crazy technology that's very, very sci-fi. Like, it's an interesting take on what Earth, prehistoric Earth, before there's no dinosaurs, but it's just run by aliens. Like, it's really kind of wild. So I wonder how that's going to be addressed, or do they all get wiped out, or what happens? So just kind of a neat stage that it's setting with its prehistoric Earth, and yet it's very advanced technology and aliens everywhere. But this is the sort of the kind of the end of this where we find out what happens with them. So they're on the run. The queen is on the run. She has her kids with her, and Dane is just trying to protect them. The previous issues, they didn't seem to have any romantic involvement. Well, they have been romantically involved now, but that wasn't the catalyst that inspired the queen to run away from her emperor husband. It's because he was this evil tyrant and murdering people left and right, and she wanted what was best for her kids. And her oldest daughter is having a hard time with this. She calls the dad and tells him, hey, pick me up. And it's just like, there is this strange thing in this big sci-fi war of chasing the queen and this crazy emperor that is ultimately it's a family going through a divorce. And the oldest daughter is having the hardest time with it. And they have this character that has control of this strange teleporter, like artificial intelligence computer that is able to teleport them from planet to planet all over the galaxy. And this is where they're hiding out at the queen's sister's house, but they've been betrayed. Who they think they've been betrayed, but it's not as clear cut as you think. And I don't want to tell you what happens there. But what a twist this has, in that there's really nowhere for them to go. They're taken capture. They're betrayed by the queen's sister for money. And the emperor, father of the queen's husband, shows up here. There's hundreds of troops around them. And they do that thing that I love sometimes, which is call out the emperor and say, I challenge you to a one-on-one duel for right to rule the galaxy. And Dane, who is, he just reminds me of this he's just like Han Solo, like an older Han Solo is what it reminds me of. This leader of the guard. He stands true then. If he's going to sort of semi-steal the queen from the emperor, he has to be able to defend her, and he stands up for her, and he doesn't do so well. But who steps up here, and what happens from that moment that has to sort of step in is a surprise. That's what the core of this is, so I don't want to say what person that is or who steps up surprisingly to sort of save the day, but I didn't see it coming. I was a little surprised by it. I thought it would be someone else, or that Dane would just be triumphant against the evil emperor. Not the case. But this wraps it up nicely. It leads you into a cliffhanger to continue a second arc, so I think that's kind of nice that Mark Millar wants to keep going with this in this beautiful sci-fi epic drama. It's only 7 issues, so you can grab them in collection. I'm sure it's just going to be all 7, but so beautifully done. The art by Stuart Eminem is gorgeous. There's so many colors in this. It's so much sci-fi action goodness. You got to get it. Just buy it. Just trust me. Get this. You won't be disappointed. Now, coming in number 2 from Image Comics is the series finale-ish? Issue number 60 of Chew. This is by John Layman and art by Rob Gilroy. And I'll give you a mini spoilerish alert here in that it's really not an ending. It's really not. And if you know that kind of going in, I think it will help you with the experience of this comic, because I kind of went in thinking this is over, and that's not really the case. And you'll see exactly why. I don't want to spoil it all, but really don't go in thinking it's a true series finale. It's a kind of a light, we'll see what happens from here, not quite sure. But they go true to form here, which is great. It's mostly centered around the sense of humor that has made Chew successful. It's very, very many years later, after the ending of issue 59 had the powers of Amelia, that's Chew's wife or woman that he loves, which when she writes something and someone reads the story, they sort of live it and feel it, and it becomes true, and the food they taste really happens. She writes this story that ultimately, when it's read by Chew, this is crazy, it's going to sound nuts, when he reads it, will kill anyone on the planet that eats chicken. And yes, he saves the lives of billions by killing millions. Well, many years later here, it's sort of the aftermath of that. Chew is still alive. He's very old. He bites into his fingernail, eating, in sense, a part of himself, and his entire life flashes before his eyes. All 60 issues are done in this evenly squared, multi-paneled, double splash page, fold-out double splash page of unique, teeny little storytelling and recapping of the entire 60 issues. And I tell you, as someone that has read every single one of them in floppy, I never read this in collection. I managed to jump on number 1 when I met the team of this at a con years ago. Can't believe it's been like 10 years or something with this. It really got me. It tugged on the heartstrings. They show older Tony sort of reflecting and looking back on these strange panels in this sort of mural of his life, and it's so well done. And the emotion that is drawn onto Tony Chu's face as he's remembering this was hat down. I'm not even wearing a hat, but winner by far as the emotional feeling here. They really did a great job. And then you sort of see this new you see not new, but what happens to his daughter and the daughter's new partner. And this is where it gets funny. It's humorous. There's an awkward sexual encounter between the daughter's new partner and like the armadillo boss. So it's a little weird and twisted and psychedelic is what I'll tell you, because they're spraying the ink of this strange sort of chog alien being into their faces, and they have like a psychedelic trip. So yeah, that's what Chew is about. It's weird, it's twisted. You have to read every single little background notation because there's an area where there's Area 51, and it just stood right out into my mind, and it's like in the end pages here. But there's an Area 51 sort of fence, and it just says like, Area 51 is run by the government, so some shady stuff is happening here. But it's like written in this teeny little font, and you can miss it easily. Don't miss the little background comedy little bites that are all in Chew in every single issue. That's been a consistency. It's a unique little part of Chew. It's really what makes it such an interesting, fun, twisted, weird comic. But Chew delivers that all the way to this end? ? But yeah, it says like, warning, military facility doing shady business ahead. But no loitering. It's like, it is filled with 3,000 of those in 60 issues. So they always make me laugh. I'm always searching every single panel to find those little blurbs. But man, what a great piece of work. There's a lovely letter from the creators, a letter each from John and from Rob at the back. So you have to read those because they're very well put together, and some great thank yous to the fans and to the readers, and just a reflection upon the however many years it was of Chew. But solid series finale, and I loved it. And the cover had a triple splash fold out page, which you don't see very often. It was $5.99, so be warned there. It's a little more expensive, but worth it. I want to say there was probably 60 pages, close to 60 pages in this if you count the splashes. So you get a ton of content for $6. It's completely worth it. Like I said though, go in thinking it's a series finale-ish. And I think you'll be happy with that. Trust me, it's not saying too much. But anyway, coming in at number 1, the number 1 comic book this week for November 23rd is from Image Comics. It's Lake of Fire, issue number 4. This is written by Nathan Fairbairn and art by Matt Smith. And the art is gorgeous in this. It's solid. It's definitely this historical fiction mixed with sci-fi. So it's the blending of this genre coming together, like the time of the Crusades and these knights. And there is an alien element that's crashed in their area. And how they deal with it is very interesting. And I love that we're in issue number 4, and he's really done some great character development here to where you're caring for the characters. They're interesting. They're unique. You have this sort of very beaten head sergeant that is kind of leading the way. That is, he's very sort of bleak, but you know why. He's been through wars, and he has like PTSD ultimately. But he's kind of taken this leadership role now, and they've decided to take the offensive instead of just having this strange sort of cockroach-style alien that's attacking them and eating them and stealing their people and taking them back to their ship. They've decided to take the offensive here and go into the ship there and battle them. And they know they're ultimately potentially going to their death, and it's like 7 of them, including this woman that they found that who the priest in the town considers like a witch or a heretic of some sort. And she's even brave enough to say, I will go to take the offensive with this small group of people and these knights into this gigantic alien ship. Where I even like the way that the aliens are drawn. They're like I said, these strange little cockroach-like beings. They have a very hive mentality. They don't speak. They just sort of make these screeching sounds, and they're kind of frightening in a way. And the art style is in that midpoint. It's in that not cartoony and not hyper-realistic, but it's right in that sweet spot. It's very, and the emotions on the faces are done really well, though. A lot of zoom-in moments where very clearly some storytelling done from the primary characters. But what really sold this comic for me was a moment here where a man finds his daughter in the belly of this alien warship, and his daughter was taken by these aliens, and the daughter has these alien cockroaches kind of like all over her rib cage, and they're eating at her slowly, but he finds her. And it's this heroic element. Also, you feel that as well. The small band of group going after this giant alien ship. It's like they're so against the odds here, but you feel that element of bravery. You feel that they're against all odds. They're going in to save their people. And there's that moment where this man finds his daughter there that was taken. And it really is so well done, just beautifully done in how the daughter here does not look well and not going to make it. And as the giant horde, the nest, the infestation of these aliens finally discover that they're in their ship and chase after them, this man says, like, I'm not leaving you. He's holding on to his daughter, and I'm not sure if she's completely awake or not, but he decides to just stay there with his daughter, and it's heartwarming, and that he's on his knees holding his daughter's, what's left of his daughter, and he is overrun by these crazy alien cockroach monsters. But man, at its heart, it's a very hero-like feel that's happening here, and I really like that about Lake of Fire. And the first 3 issues were just a ton of setup, but now you know these characters and you feel for them, and then mixed in with it is this woman that's considered a witch and heretic, and this priest that really just is hell-bent on stopping her. And it's does he show up? Is he there? What happens? I don't want to spoil it all, but there's definitely a cliffhanger to next week's next month issue number 5 of Lake of Fire, which I can't wait to see. It'll be the end of the arc. But great blending of a genre here, and sci-fi and this historical fiction. It's just beautifully drawn. It's hitting that sweet spot on all levels here. And like I said, that moment with the man that's just going to be with his daughter to the end. And it's heartbreaking and beautiful. But please check out Lake of Fire. It's only on issue number 4. You should go and buy it right away, or it's going to be collected, I'm sure, when the 5th and final issue comes out. And it's been relatively on time, so hats off to Nathan Fairbairn and Matt Smith for doing on-time monthly work here. There's something to be said about that, but it's gorgeous, it's fun, it's that Game of Thrones-like feel, it's a little bit of fantasy, sci-fi, and the Crusades all blended in there, but well-done character development, and I love the primary character, like I said, that is this PTSD, this soldier, this crusade, this knight. But there you go, folks. That's it. Those are all my recommendations for New Comic Book Day, November 23rd. So please get yourself up and go on over to a local comic book shop and buy these immediately. Tell them Chris from Sunspots Comics sent you. They'll look at you weird, but that's fine. They're going to look at you weird anyway, I guess, right? Who knows? But anyway, if you have any questions, comments, or you want a personal comic book recommendation, just email me directly at chris@sunspotscomics.com. If I choose your email and I discuss it on a podcast, I will send you a little comic book thank you prize from me personally. And please sign up for our email newsletter, sunspotscomics.com/contact. And please tune in next week to issue number 83 of the podcast. I'm actually only reading 9 comics next week, which is weird, for November 30th. And there's only 3 new number 1s, so potentially only 12 comics next week, which is super small. But there's some great stuff coming out next week that I'm looking forward to. There's Aliens Defiance number 7. You've got Hillbilly number 6. The Image Plus magazine issue number 8 is coming out next week. I've been loving that. They sell it for $2 now by itself. You don't have to buy a preview magazine anymore. the giant phone book of a preview catalog. You can actually buy Image Plus, the magazine, by itself for $2, and issue number 8 is coming out next week. And Saga number 40. I love Saga every single month. Consistent. And Skyborn. That's another one that I'm really looking forward to. That's done by Mr. Cho. His art is fantastically beautiful. That's just some of the stuff I'm excited about. I'm looking forward to. That's coming out next week. So please tune in. And thank you so much, deeply from the bottom of my heart. I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving. And if you enjoyed the podcast and you want to help us out here at Sunspots Comics, just please subscribe to us and just go to iTunes and give us a positive review with 5 stars. It really means a lot. I will personally thank you right here on the podcast if you do so. So thank you very much. So have a good week, have a good night, have a good rest of your day. And please don't forget to, of course, be water, my friend. Be light.
Into the lake of fire, eternal flames reaching higher. Into the lake of fire, day and night, the torment never ends. Into the lake of fire, burning sulfur, Christ deniers. Into the lake of fire, on and on, the anguish never ends. Into the lake of fire, eternal flames reaching higher. Into the lake of fire, day and night, the torment never ends. Into the lake of fire, burning sulfur, Christ deniers. Into the lake of fire, on and on, the anguish never ends. Lucifer is burning, the beast and the false prophet. Judgment day is coming, the books will soon be open. Into the lake of fire, eternal flames reaching higher. Into the lake of fire, day and night, the torment never ends. Into the lake of fire, burning sulfur, Christ deniers. Into the lake of fire, on and on, the anguish never ends.
If you're looking for a place where your love is shared the same, for the stories where the hero saves the girl somehow, well, look no further, friends, the adventure never ends. We will save the world somehow. It's Sunspots Comics now.